My girlfriend and I were home when armed robbers broke in. The leader said, "Only one of you can leave. Choose." She immediately pointed at me and said, "Take him." I was dragged out while she stayed safe inside. What she didn't know was that I'd already triggered the silent alarm, and when the police arrived. Original post. I, 31 male, own a modest 3-bedroom house in a decent suburban neighborhood. Nothing fancy, but I've worked hard for it. I'm in pharmaceutical sales, which pays well enough that I was able to put a solid security system in the house when I moved in 4 years ago. Motion sensors, cameras, and most importantly, a silent panic alarm connected directly to the local police department. My girlfriend moved in with me about 18 months ago. We've been dating for a year before that. She works remotely for a marketing agency, so she's home a lot. I travel for work sometimes, which means she's alone in the house regularly. The security system was actually one of the things that made her feel comfortable moving in. 3 weeks ago, everything changed. It was a Saturday night around 10 p.m. We just finished watching a movie and were getting ready for bed. I was in the kitchen getting water when I heard the back door splinter. Not open. Splinter. Someone had kicked it in. Before I could process what was happening, 3 men were in my house. Ski masks, dark clothes, and 2 of them were holding handguns. The third had what looked like a crowbar. My girlfriend screamed from the living room. I froze. The one who seemed to be in charge, bigger than the other 2, calm voice, pointed his gun at me and said, "Don't move. Don't make a sound." I didn't. They herded us both into the living room, made us sit on the couch. My girlfriend was shaking, crying. I was trying to stay calm, trying to think. Here's the thing. The panic button on my security system is disguised as a light switch near the kitchen entrance. When I'd walked through to get water, I'd seen one of them coming through the back door reflection in the microwave. I had maybe 2 seconds before they saw me. In those 2 seconds, I flipped the switch. Silent alarm. No sound, no indication anything happened. But the signal had gone to the monitoring company, and from there to the police. I knew, or hoped, that help was coming. I just had to stall. The leader started talking. Demanded to know where we kept cash, jewelry, electronics. I told him the truth. There wasn't much cash in the house, maybe $200 on my nightstand. My girlfriend's jewelry was mostly costume stuff, nothing valuable. The electronics were the TV, laptops, gaming console. He didn't like that answer. You live in a nice house like this, and you're telling me there's nothing worth taking? I have a mortgage, man. I'm not rich. Take whatever you want, just don't hurt us. He looked at my girlfriend, then back at me. Then he said something that made my blood run cold. Here's how this is going to work. We're going to take one of you with us. Insurance. Make sure the other one doesn't call the cops right away. Once we're clear, we'll let them go. My girlfriend started hyperventilating. No, please. Shut up. The leader pointed at both of us. Only one of you can stay. Choose. Now. I opened my mouth to say something, I don't even know what, but before I could get a word out, my girlfriend pointed directly at me. Take him. No hesitation. Not even a second of thought. Just immediate, reflexive self-preservation. The leader actually laughed. Cold. I like it. 2 of them grabbed me. Started dragging me toward the back door. My girlfriend stayed on the couch, arms wrapped around herself, not looking at me. She didn't say sorry. Didn't say anything. Just let them take me. They got me outside, into the backyard. One of them was zip-tying my hands when we all heard it. Sirens. Multiple sirens, getting closer fast. The robbers panicked. The leader came running out the back door, yelling at the others to move. One of them shoved me to the ground, and they bolted over the fence into the neighbor's yard gone. I lay there in the grass, hands half-tied, listening to the sirens get closer. The police found me maybe 2 minutes later. Ambulance came. They checked me over. Some bruises, minor scrape on my forehead from being shoved down, but nothing serious. My girlfriend came outside eventually, wrapped in a blanket someone had given her, looking shell-shocked. She tried to hug me. I stepped back. You pointed at me. I said, you told them to take me. I was scared. I wasn't thinking. You didn't have to think. It was instant. First instinct. Save yourself. That's not fair. Fair? You offer me up like a sacrifice so you could stay safe. In my house, with my security system that just saved both our lives. The police separated us to take statements. I told them everything: the break-in, the panic alarm, what the robbers said, what my girlfriend did. One of the officers gave me this look when I got to that part. Not judgment exactly, more like recognition. Like he'd seen this before. They caught 2 of the 3 robbers that night. Picked them up about a mile away, trying to carjack someone. The 3rd is still at large, but they have a description and prints from the crowbar. I spent the night at my buddy's place. Couldn't be in the house. Couldn't be near her. The next morning, she called me 16 times. I answered on the 17th. "We need to talk," she said. "Yeah, we do. Update 1, 5 days later." So we talked. It went about as well as you'd expect. She came to my buddy's apartment where I'd been staying. I met her in the parking lot because I didn't want to have this conversation inside. "You have to understand," she started. I was terrified. I wasn't thinking clearly. It was survival instinct. Survival instinct is fighting back, or running, or freezing. Survival instinct isn't pointing at someone you supposedly love and saying, "Take him instead." I didn't mean it like that. "How did you mean it?" Because from where I was standing, being dragged out of my own house by armed men, it seemed pretty clear. She started crying. "I've apologized 100 times. What more do you want from me? I want you to acknowledge what you did. Not I was scared, or I wasn't thinking. You made a choice. In that moment, you chose yourself over me. That's not a crime, but it tells me everything I need to know about what you do in any crisis. So what? You're breaking up with me over one moment of panic. I'm breaking up with you because you would have let me die to save yourself. And you didn't even hesitate." She wiped her eyes. "You don't know what you would have done in my position." "You're right. I don't. But I know I wouldn't have immediately volunteered you as a hostage. This is insane. We've been together almost 3 years. You're throwing that away because of something I said when I had a gun pointed at my face. I'm throwing it away because I can't trust you. How am I supposed to sleep next to someone who I know would sacrifice me the second things got hard? How am I supposed to build a life with that person?" She didn't have an answer. I told her I wanted her moved out by the end of the week. She could stay with her parents, her friends, wherever. But I needed her gone. That's when things got ugly. "This is partly my home too," she said. "I've been paying rent. I have rights. You've been paying $600 a month toward utilities. You're not on the lease. You're not on the deed. This is my house. I'll talk to a lawyer. Go ahead. In the meantime, pack your stuff." She left. I thought that would be the end of the confrontation part, at least for a while. I was wrong. Over the next few days, she launched a full campaign to make me the bad guy. First, she told her family her version of events. In her version, she froze and couldn't speak during the robbery, and I was blaming her for being traumatized. Her mom called me, furious, saying I was re-traumatizing her daughter by kicking her out after such a horrible experience. I told her mom the truth, exactly what her daughter said, word for word. "Take him." Her mom went quiet, then said, "I'm sure she didn't mean it that way. There's only one way to mean that." She hung up. Then my girlfriend told our mutual friends. Same spin. She was the victim of both the robbery and my cold reaction. A few of them reached out to me, clearly having only heard her side. My buddy showed them the police report. It's public record, and my statement is in there, including the direct quote from my girlfriend. Most of them went quiet after that. A couple apologized for assuming. One of her friends, someone I'd actually gotten along with, sent me a DM. I talked to her about what really happened. She admitted it, said she's not proud, but that you're overreacting. Just thought you should know she's still not taking responsibility. I thanked her for the heads up. The police called me twice during this period. Once to update me that they'd caught the 3rd robber. He tried to hit another house and got tackled by the homeowner, a former Marine. Poetic justice. Second time was to let me know the DA was pursuing charges and I might need to testify. I said I'd be happy to. Update 2, 2 weeks later. She moved out. Took longer than it should have because she dragged her feet on everything, but eventually her dad came with a truck and they loaded up her stuff. I wasn't there for it. Made sure I had somewhere else to be. I didn't trust myself to stay calm if she tried to have another conversation. My buddy was there, though. He said she cried the whole time and kept saying things like, "I can't believe he's doing this," and "he's punishing me for being human." Her dad, apparently, didn't say much. Just loaded boxes, and kept his head down. After she was gone, I changed the locks. Not because I thought she'd come back to steal anything, but because I needed the symbolic closure. New locks, new alarm codes, new chapter. Then things got interesting. About a week after she moved out, I got a call from a detective. Not about the robbery, about my ex-girlfriend. Turns out, during the investigation, one of the robbers started talking, trying to cut a deal by giving up information. And one of the things he said was that they'd known the house layout before they came in. They knew where the back door was, knew the general floor plan, knew approximately what was inside. The detective asked if there was anyone who might have shared that information, anyone who had access to the house and might have talked about it. I told him about my ex-girlfriend, mentioned that she'd been living there, knew everything about the house, and had recently been very angry at me. Was she angry before the robbery? He asked. I thought about it. We had some arguments. She wanted to be more involved in the finances, put on the deed. I said no. The detective made a note. I want to be clear. I don't know if she was involved. The detective said it was one line of inquiry among several. The robbers might have cased the house themselves, might have gotten info from somewhere else entirely. But the fact that it's even a question tells you something. My ex found out she was being looked at. I know because she called me, screaming. You told them I was involved? Are you insane? I told them the truth. That you lived here and knew the house. That's not an accusation. That's a fact. They're treating me like a suspect. My parents are freaking out. You're ruining my life. You pointed at me and told armed men to take me. If you're innocent of everything else, you're still guilty of that. I wasn't involved in the robbery. Then you have nothing to worry about. The investigation will clear you. She hung up. I called my lawyer after that. I'd gotten one after the robbery, just to make sure my bases were covered. He said I'd done nothing wrong by answering the detective's questions honestly. Said I should document any harassing contact from her in case I needed a restraining order later. I started keeping screenshots. Meanwhile, the criminal case was moving forward. The 3 robbers were all in custody now, facing charges including armed robbery, home invasion, kidnapping, and assault. The DA's office was pushing for serious time. The lead detective called me again about a week later. Said they'd found no evidence connecting my ex-girlfriend to the robbers. She wasn't a suspect anymore, just someone they'd talked to as part of the investigation. I was relieved, honestly, not because I thought she was innocent, but because I didn't want to deal with the complications if she wasn't. But here's the thing, even without criminal involvement, what she did during the robbery was enough. She stood in my house, in a crisis we both faced, and immediately chose to sacrifice me. No charges for that. No legal consequences. Just the natural consequence of me knowing exactly who she is. Final update, 4 weeks later. The court case is ongoing, but I've given my initial testimony. The DA's office was thorough. They wanted every detail, every word, every moment from that night, including what my girlfriend said. When I testified about the take-him moment, I saw the defense attorneys exchange a look. One of them actually asked me about it during cross-examination, trying to suggest that the robbery was so chaotic I might have misremembered. No, I said, I remember it clearly. The leader asked us to choose who would be taken. My girlfriend pointed at me immediately and said, take him. There was no hesitation. Is it possible she was simply frozen with fear and... She wasn't frozen. She spoke. She pointed. She made a choice. The defense dropped that line of questioning. After my testimony, I ran into my ex-girlfriend's father in the hallway. He'd apparently come to observe part of the proceedings. He looked older than I remembered. Tired. I owe you an apology, he said. I didn't respond, just waited. When she first told us what happened, she left out the part about pointing at you. Her mother and I believed her version. We thought you were being cruel, kicking her out when she was traumatized. And now I've read the police report. And I heard your testimony today. And I've had some conversations with my daughter that didn't go well. What did she say? He sighed. She still thinks you're overreacting. Says it was just a moment, and you're holding it against her forever. When I asked her if she'd feel differently if you'd pointed at her, she said it wasn't the same thing because you're stronger and could handle it better. I almost laughed. So she thinks I should have been sacrificed because I'm more capable of being kidnapped. I don't understand her logic either. I just wanted you to know that some of us see what actually happened. And I'm sorry my daughter is who she is. That was unexpected. I thanked him and we shook hands. He left. I never saw him again after that. The robbery case concluded a few weeks later. All 3 were convicted. The leader got 12 years. The other 2 got 8 and 6 respectively. They'll be eligible for parole eventually, but not for a long time. I was satisfied with that outcome. Not happy. Nothing about this makes me happy, but satisfied that the system worked. As for my ex-girlfriend, I've heard through mutual friends that she's moved on. New apartment, new job, apparently dating someone new already. Good for her, I guess. Someone else's problem now. She tried to reach out to me once more about a week after the sentencing. Sent me a long email about how she'd been working on herself and processing the trauma and wanted to clear the air between us. I didn't respond. There's nothing to clear. The air is perfectly transparent. I can see exactly what happened and exactly who she is. The house feels different now. I had the back door replaced, upgraded the security system, added cameras covering every angle. I don't feel unsafe exactly, but I don't feel the same kind of comfortable either. That might take time. I've started seeing a therapist, not just for the robbery trauma, but for the relationship stuff too. Turns out, watching someone you love choose to sacrifice you does a number on your ability to trust. The therapist says it's normal to question everything after something like this. Normal to wonder if you missed signs, if there were red flags you ignored. I've been going through our relationship in my head, looking for moments that should have warned me. There were a few. Times she made decisions that benefited her at my expense and acted like it was obvious. Times she talked about us but really meant her. Times I compromised and she didn't. But nothing that prepared me for take him. I don't hate her. I want to be clear about that. Hate takes energy, and I don't have any to spare. I just know, with absolute certainty, that I can never trust her again. Can never trust anyone who would do what she did. That's the real damage. Not the bruises from being shoved down. Not the property damage from the break-in. The damage is knowing that the person I share my life with would trade me away without a second thought. I'm not dating right now. Not ready. The therapist says that's healthy. Taking time to heal before putting myself out there again. Maybe in a few months. Maybe longer. For now, I'm focused on work, on the house, on rebuilding whatever sense of safety I can. The security system I installed saved my life that night. The silent alarm brought the police before things got worse. But it couldn't protect me from the person sitting next to me on my own couch. Some threats you never see coming.